So this is going to be a detailed review on the U by Moen Smart Faucet. And guys, I got this thing set up about 30 days ago, put it in myself, super easy to install, super easy to set up. So if you guys are looking for a quick weekend project to do, it's a great project that you can take on yourself. I'm going to give this thing a review since I've been playing around with it for a little bit of time here and kind of show you guys all the features. Couple quirks here and there that I thought Moen was like this close to making the perfect smart faucet, but some of these things I think they can fix in software on this. So I really think this is one of the best smart faucets out there that you can buy. So I'm going to do this review in a couple different parts. We're going to talk about the physical appearance of this thing, some of the physical features of it, and then we're going to flip over to the software side of things, some of the Alexa features, some of the Google features, and talk about how those work. So from a physical standpoint, the faucet here comes in a couple different styles and finishes. I did post a bunch of links in the description of this video here with all the different styles and all the different finishes on there. The one that I have here is an oil rubbed bronze. They all have a similar look to it. The body is generally the same, but again, the styles and the finishes might be a little bit different on it. All of the smart faucets have a black sensor here at the top. They have one sensor on them, and that's where when you get this thing plugged in, that's the first thing that you can do is you can wave your hand over the top and water comes on. It is what I'll call a water by wire type of design because the mixing does not actually take place in the body of the faucet here for the water. There's actually a control box below that controls all of that. So just to give you guys an example of that, I don't have to physically open the handle for the water to come on because there's a control wire that goes down that tells the control box, hey, open up the water, the faucet is turning on. So if I swipe my hand over the top, you guys can see that. This is not actually on, it's not in any position. I just swipe my hand and the water comes on, swipe my hand off again over it, and the water turns off. There is, too, a light on here. I don't know if you guys could see it on the video, but there is a little LED light that changes colors between blue and red. So depending on how you set this up, and we'll get into the software portion in a minute here, when you swipe your hand over the top of the sensor, it can come on as cold as possible, it can come on as hot as possible, or it could come on as a mix, so 50-50 hot and cold. And this little indicator light there will tell you what it's coming on at. And it also has some features too. When we start talking about more of the Alexa and Google stuff, if you're giving it commands, it'll tell you that, hey, the water is ready to be dispensed and it's going to be at this temperature. Or it's a quick way to look over and see what the temperature of the water actually is. And that'll change again between blue is cold, red is hot, purple somewhere in the middle. As it gets redder, it's warmer. And we'll go over that again when we start talking about the software. A couple other things, you can kind of tell that it's this water by wire system here. So if I do open it up by that, you can see though again the water comes on, but I can actually shut it off by the sensor and the handle position is still there. Now if I turn it on from the sensor, I can still control the temperature by going like this with the handle. So I could say, okay, I want it as cold as possible, and you'll start seeing the light here at the top go bluer, bluer, and bluer, getting to as cold as possible, or I could switch it back up, and that'll go to the hottest possible position I have once it's all the way up like that. If I close it, I could do the same thing. I wipe my hand over the top, and now I can control it, even though, guys, again, this thing's pushed in because it's this whole water by wire concept. This handle position in and out really doesn't mean a whole lot. I can control the temperature of the water, hot and cold over that. So we'll stop that from there. And that's just kind of some basic information on how that works. I will say though, with that control box there, when you buy this thing, they give you batteries. And there's no way if you lose power and your batteries die to actually get this faucet to work since this thing is not actually doing anything. It needs that wire and needs that control box to actually work. So you might want to keep some D batteries around as spares just in case the power goes out and you lose your batteries, or just in case the batteries die and you need to use something. It does not come with a power adapter by default. That was one of the things I was kind of a little disappointed in with Moen. I figure, for $5 they could have thrown in a power adapter for you. but they didn't. You can go online and you can buy the power adapter for this thing. I do have a link to that in the description as well. I highly recommend it so that we're not eating up your batteries all the time for this unit. It is a really cool power plug system that they have for this. The battery actually plugs in through it. So if you do lose power, you do have a battery backup on your faucet still. So I thought that was a really good design, but I just wish they included it with it. So going back to the physical aspect on this, you know, it does come with this dispenser wand. I think this is pretty standard on most faucets. You can flick this thing over and it'll give you the spray feature. Again, probably pretty common in every single faucet I've ever had. And there is a power boost button. And now you're on power boost for the spray, and then you can go back to that. The one downside, or quirk, or whatever you want to call it, that I think Moen could have done a little bit better on is there is no way to cancel the power boost besides shutting the faucet off, which can sometimes be a pain. You're washing dishes, you just need a little extra power. You push it, and okay, you got the power, you want to shut it off because all the water is spraying everywhere. You have to physically shut this thing off by that or that. Then you sometimes lose your position for the temperature, and it gets a little quirky. Again, you know, I don't think we can solve that in software, but just guys, watch out for it. Not the biggest of deals. One other thing that I noticed when I was playing around with this or washing dishes is that sometimes when you go to turn the sensor on and you've got a large dish or something like that, it will jack this up or down, and then again you change your water temperature a little bit and it could start to get really hot. Ran into it once or twice, really wasn't a big deal, but I figured I'd mention that as well, just because again this is controlling the water temperature as you're going on and off. So guys, that's kind of the physical features of this thing. I'm gonna go plug my Alexa in, and we're gonna talk about some of the really cool features that this thing has and what makes it really a powerful smart faucet. So I got my Alexa plugged in behind me here, and we'll go over some simple commands just to show you guys how the integration works for Google and Alexa here. So the first thing I'll do is just tell it to turn on. Alexa, ask Moen to turn on. And the faucet turns on. Alexa, ask Moen to turn off. And it's as simple as that. One thing that I wish this thing did was come with Alexa or Google built into it. There's a lot of smart devices out there that already do. There's a microwave, there's a clock, there's wall plugs, wall switches. I don't think it would have been too much more engineering to put a little microphone in here, and that way I didn't have to have an Alexa sitting on the counter. But you do, you know, who knows what version 2 is going to have in it. Maybe they were saving that for next time, but that's there. So we turned on the faucet, we turned off the faucet here. We can do presets too, and this is really where I think a lot of the power comes in. So I was making pizza one day, and it said I needed a cup of water at 105 degrees. I was like, you know, let me program my faucet to do that for me, instead of me having to mess around with one of these instant read thermometers all the time. I'll just program it in here, and if I make pizza once a week, it's really simple to do. Or if you're making oatmeal in the morning and you need a cup of water, or hey, you need to wash your hands and you want the water to come on at a certain temperature and for 30 seconds, because you're supposed to wash your hands for 20 seconds these days. You can do all that with this. So just a simple one that I did with the pizza here is, Alexa, ask Moen to fill pizza. So what just happened here is, in the app I set up that I want pizza to be at 115 degrees, okay? And I wanted to dispense a cup of water. It purges the water through and gets it to that 115 degree mark, turns the light on here to the reddish purplish color here. Once the water hits that temperature, you could put your cup underneath it. It's ready to dispense at that temperature. You swipe, and it dispenses exactly 1 cup of water. Now that was pretty cool when I first tried that out and played around with it. I will say you do have to remember, guys, And I tested it with this thing too, that 105 or 115 degree temperature is right here at the tip of the faucet. So if you're holding a cup down here, it's going to cool down a little bit. You got the water that's coming down. It's going to cool down as it comes out of the faucet just a little bit. And then depending on the temperature of your cup, if it was cold or it was really hot, the water could change a little bit in there too. So by playing around with this thermometer and the water coming out and everything, I realized that I need to set my temperatures about 10 degrees warmer than what I actually need. So if I want 105 degree water, I should aim for 115 at the tap, because by the time it falls, hits the cup and everything, it'll be 105 degrees. So just watch out for that. If you have an instant read thermometer, play around with it. But in my testing, 10 degrees was about accurate. A couple other things that you can do with this. You don't have to set a preset. You can just say different commands to the Alexa in general. Alexa, ask Moen to turn on the faucet at 120 degrees. And now it's running the faucet at a constant 120 degrees. The light flashes until it gets to that temperature. And then once it gets to that temperature, it's going to stay usually at a solid color there. And it's going to be solid red, because 120 degrees is pretty hot. Then again, I can either tell Alexa to shut off, or I could simply wave my hand over the top like that. I just grabbed my iPhone real quick so I can show you guys some of the features of the actual application itself. Go to the App Store, download the Moen App. Again, really simple, really easy to set up, easy to hook to Alexa. But once you're in here, first thing you'll see at the top is your presets. So you can go in there. I've got the one called Pizza. I got another one called On. And you can go in, you could add it, and then you could set the temperature. This is kind of cool. You can set the temperature, and you can go through all this by turning the faucet on and kind of feeling it out. But if you know exactly what temperature you want, hit the advanced settings here, configure your preset name. You can set the amount. I want cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, whatever the heck you want. You can set that right there. Temperature, coldest, or you can go through and you can actually pick to the degree the temperature. And that's how I did the 115 degrees for my pizza one. And then you can test it. You got the try preset button right there. So you got that right there for all of your presets. You're still on the home screen. To give you some other ideas here, you can read more. You can go into all that. At the bottom here, kind of the next thing that you can do is go into the devices portion here. And we'll start out with the overview. And this is really cool. This will actually tell you how much water you're using for the entire day. Today, somehow we use 73 gallons, probably because we're home all the time and we're cooking, doing dishes, whatever. You can see the peak times around lunchtime, not surprising. We're cooking lunch, 8 p.m., making dinner. Again, not too surprising about that. And then 7 something in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, breakfast. So that's why there's a spike there. We could trend it. We could see over the week. We could see over the month. All that information is right there, even the year. Your history is right below there, so you guys can see we turned on pizza as a test. We did 115 degrees. We told Alexa just to turn on, and the turn on temperature was 77. And then we waved our hand over the top. That turned on at 81 degrees was our average. You do have the battery life indicator here on the app as well, so that's always good. Hey, I'm not sure what my battery level is at. I don't know how accurate that is yet, because I've only had this thing about a month and it's still showing 100%. So maybe this thing is really easy on batteries. I was told they're supposed to last 2 years, but I don't know at what usage that is. I don't know if I'm a heavy user and it's only going to last me 1 year. I don't know if I'm a light user and the batteries are going to last me 3 years. They said on average it'll last you 2 years, so we'll have to see what that looks like. And then you do have a live control. I have no idea who's going to sit on their phone and really do this. The only time I ever used this was when I wanted to mess with my wife and play around with the faucet and shut it off on her. But you could do it from here if you wanted to. I could turn this on. I can go to the hottest temperature. I can go to the coldest temperature right on the app there. And we'll shut that off. So you've got those settings here in the overview section. We can go over to presets. Again, here's where my presets are. If you need to delete them, swipe left. This took me a little while to figure out because how the hell are you supposed to know, okay, to delete a preset, come into here and swipe left. But that's how you delete presets if you wanted to know that. Your tips and your tricks are all right here. So if you want to get the full list of commands or the ones that they publish, you can come in right here and you can take a look at what all those commands are. And then you can come over here and you've got some settings. And this is really cool, and I think this is really what makes it pretty powerful too from the Smart App perspective is you can set like a ton of granular settings here. So handle timeout. So if I turn the faucet on with the handle, how long does the faucet stay on before it shuts off? 15 minutes. If you got kids in the house and they're not shutting stuff off, you could put it in here, 5 minutes, shut it off. 15 minutes I found is a really good time. 5 minutes, sometimes a little light, you're washing dishes. After 5 minutes, the thing shuts off. You got to open the faucet back up again. But you can set that from here. And you can set it from a handle perspective. You could also set it from a voice and sensor timeout perspective. So if I'm talking or waving my hand over the top, I could set that. Maybe I want that different for some reason. Maybe I want that 10 minutes and I want the handle timeout as 15 minutes. So you got that there. You also have command timeout. So if I give it a command and it purges the water out, it sets, how long before that kind of goes away? 1 minute. Probably a good time, especially if you're trying to control temperature and everything in there. That's probably a good time for you to leave it at. Freeze protection. This was kind of cool. If you got a cottage somewhere and you kind of leave the heat on a little bit, but you've had issues with pipes freezing and you need to trickle the water out, you can turn that on and then the water faucet will start dripping out just a little bit to keep the water in the pipes moving there. And then you also have some of the defaults. So, okay, if I go to the sensor and turn it on, what are my options for the water temperature that comes out of there? I could do the handle position. So wherever I last left that handle position, I can go coldest, equal mix, 50-50 hot and cold, or I can go hottest. This was one of my biggest complaints. And I might write a letter to Moen. I don't know what I'm going to do here. They need to fix this. Equal mix is horrible. Someone's using cold water in the other room. You go to wave your hand over the top. It's super hot because cold water is being used and the water pressure on the cold side's lower and the hot pressure is higher, and you burn your hands. Someone's taking a shower upstairs. The hot water is being used up a lot more. You go to use the sensor. It's freezing cold. It isn't the best. If no one's using any more water in the house and you wave your hands over the top, in my experience, it's okay. It's lukewarm. I always wish it could be a little bit warmer on there. They need to fix this. I don't know why you can get so granular and I can set timeouts of handles versus sensor timeouts and I can dispense 1 cup of water to the degree level. But when I'm using the sensor, they give you 4 options. Not the best. They got to fix that. Hopefully they come up with a solution for that. Some other stuff in the bottom here too. Maintenance, installation instructions. You can go through here. The thing will actually learn your hottest temperature, your coldest temperature. If you're giving it commands and you want something really cold or really hot, it'll actually tell you, sorry, you cannot go up that high or you cannot go down that cold because this is all that your faucet can do based on your temperature there. And then, that's about it. At the bottom there, you've got the serial number, the firmware version that you're on, version 1. So that's why I'm hoping, this thing they can actually fix in firmware. And that's all right there. Usage settings, we just continue along the bottom. Kind of the same stuff we went over. And the last thing here is just your settings. You could rename it if you want. And that's about it. So we'll exit out of that. And guys, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a really good faucet besides those couple quirks that I found playing around and messing with things. But if you can look past those, and I think you can because I don't think there is anything like this on the market, it's a good faucet. And like I said, I've had it for about a month and I really like it. I don't think I'd ever go back. It's really nice having that sensor at the top there. You're making chicken, you got to wash your hands. You don't have to touch anything. You just wipe your hands over, you move your hand over the sensor and water comes out. Really nice, really good features. So guys, hope you like this video. If you guys have any questions, post them down below. I'll try to get back to you with as much knowledge as I have on this thing. And thanks a lot for watching.